So it is 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. We may have people come in after. For those of you that are new to Zoom, if you scroll your mouse to the bottom of the page, you'll see in the center the chat. So if you have any questions or comments while any of us are speaking, this is where you can do it, and we'll be happy to address this any questions at the end. So you can type questions and comments there. And for now, please keep your microphones muted just to avoid any background noise. It looks like everybody already has. So I think you must be pros. And then this meeting will be recorded just so everyone knows, so that we can continue to share it for those that may have missed the meeting. So welcome everyone, thank you so much. I'm Jolie Scheidler-Benz, the co-founder of the Lindsay Advocate. And we all wish to thank you so much for coming tonight and taking time out of your busy lives to hear more about an urgent matter in our community. A place called home, our local homeless shelter, needs our help and more. The crisis is close to my heart as the Advocate has fought for a basic income from the beginning. When people's basic needs aren't met, people who are poor often end up in our prisons, hospitals, or become homeless. Without proper social supports,
Yeah, turn that off, please.
We as a community must find ways to meet our social needs. A place called home is more than a homeless shelter. It has been a full service provider for those who have slipped through the cracks for over 25 years. Our community hasn't seen homeless on the streets the way we do in many other communities. And that's specifically through the efforts of those who work and those who support a place called home. So thank you, Dave, for letting me speak and to let the Advocate help organize this important and urgent event tonight.
Thank you very much, Jolie. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our event this evening. Huge thank you to the Lindsay Advocate for helping us host this. This was very quickly put together over the last week. Prior to this, never even heard of a town hall before outside of people yelling and screaming with signs in their hands, so we can avoid hopefully some of the yelling and screaming here tonight. I'm going to give a little bit of background on our agency. We do have 6 speakers, and each is probably going to speak for a few minutes just on a variety of topics, including myself. For those who are just joining us, if there are questions, there is a chat menu at the bottom. If you move your mouse, it will pop up. If you want to click on there and add any questions as we go through, we'll try to answer them at the end. So just to open here, for the last 25 years or so, a place called home. We've been assisting the men, women, and families with children in the Kawartha Lakes and Haliburton County, and those who are vulnerable, those who are homeless and are at risk of becoming so. Over that time, we've served thousands of people, and with the overwhelming majority, we've assisted and helped transition into permanent housing, find stability and happiness. Our goal as an agency has always been very singular, and that is to ensure that at the end of the day, everybody has a safe place to stay. 2020, has been just an insane year for a lot of us. It's thrown many curveballs. The economic well-being and social safety nets of many communities have been tested and stressed, and of course the city of Kawartha Lakes is no different. The COVID pandemic kicked off a series of service changes for a place called home, and it resulted in a significant shift in how we provide service to the folks in our community, and that was no more evident than in our shift away from our usual 19-bed emergency shelter and shifting people into motels. This happened, fairly early in the pandemic, and so we were very, very fortunate to keep people safe in that environment. It was deemed very early on that the shelter would not be an adequate space because it certainly isn't pandemic proof. There's a lot of congregated space, a lot of shared living rooms, shared bathrooms, some shared rooms. So there was a lot of points of potential transmission. In response to the pandemic and to meet the future needs of our community, we decided, in partnership with both the health unit and with the city of Kawartha Lakes, to investigate the development and construction of a new purpose-built emergency shelter. So folks, on behalf of our board of directors of a place called home, of our staff, our volunteers, and those who serve us, we're really pleased to have you joining us this evening. I'm going to introduce our first speaker. And this is Nicole Bryant. Nicole is the manager of our emergency shelter. She's our manager of outreach services. She's a passionate social worker who's on the front lines every day, and she is supporting the most vulnerable in our community. So Nicole, I'll pass it over to you.
Hi guys. I'm just going to talk a bit about what things are kind of looking like for us now, and kind of where we need to get headed. As Dave said, and I agree, this year's been especially trying for a place called home, staff and clients. COVID has impacted us all on a personal level, but it's also made a huge impact on the day-to-day operations of the shelter. In March, when COVID hit, we made the decision, along with the city, to move our residents into a hotel, allowing for single occupancy rooms, making everyone's health and safety our #1 priority. This move, while wonderful and completely in line with health standards, has come with its own set of issues. Our once comfortable surroundings, where staff and clients blended together as one big family, sharing meals, stories, troubles, and successes, has taken an institutional feel, with a very us versus them mentality arising. Staff is struggling to make connections and build rapport with the comfort and offerings that are provided at the shelter, without the comfort and offerings that we can provide at the shelter. In a world where daily health screenings, food drop-offs, and services through a window are the norm. This is a pivotal point for us. Our need to rebuild the shelter and return back to a place of normalcy where there is a sense of family, caring, and love is more important than ever. We need to blend the good old days with the safety of the new days ahead. A purpose-built shelter that couples our unique service delivery model with a new pandemic-proof facility. A perfect merriment of safety and the caring, supportive environment that a place called home is known for. As I have said in the past, it is very hard to hate the person who cooks you dinner and eats across the table from you, and it's much easier to accept help from someone who walks beside you than someone who walks in front of you. We need to raise this money and rebuild for the residents, for the staff, and for the community, because we need to go back home.
Thank you, Nicole. And we appreciate you speaking today. I know Christmas season is extremely busy at the shelter, so thank you for taking your time. I'm going to do some screen sharing here just to show everybody who's with us today some of the plans that have been drawn, just to give you a sense of what we are looking at in terms of construction. Early in the pandemic, again, it was determined that our existing shelter was just not going to work with the shared accommodation and shared spaces. And where's the screen share? Right here. And okay, 1 second. This was so easy when I tested it earlier. Bingo. Can everybody see that? Thumbs up. Beautiful. Okay, so the new building, what we're looking at, this would be the main floor. You'd come here off the public entrance. For anybody who wants to look at these in more detail or get another look at them later, at the end of the meeting, we will have some details about our the next meeting of our campaign committee, in which case there will be access to these types of drawings and for review at that meeting. So looking at our new building, some of the big changes are that it's fully accessible. Big kitchen, lounge, dining areas, main floor accessible rooms. What we're looking at a model of shared bathrooms between 2 units. Right now in our existing shelter, the average is much greater than that, and the number of accessible rooms is less than what we'll have in this facility. So right out of the gate, we're certainly looking at greater accessibility. A lift to all floors will also be included, as well as a separate resident entrance, which will allow for greater privacy for folks who are coming in and out of the shelter, because confidentiality is a huge thing for our agency, and trying to reduce crossover between the public who are coming in and residents who are coming and going is going to be key. The next floor, looking at the second floor, we're looking at 13 bedrooms, again, using the style of centralized washrooms with surrounding bedrooms. And there are a couple of units here that have individual beds with just single washrooms, again, for individuals who this style would not work for. So it gives us some more flexibility. Again, 13 rooms on the second floor, again, with lift access. There are, as with any construction project, there are a lot of unknowns. We are applying for a lot of grants, we're doing fundraising, and depending on the success of that, it's going to determine how large and how big this building is going to get. So in a perfect world, we're going to have a third story, which will also include 4 bachelor units and 2 two-person units. So if the funding is there, we will have a full 3-story building. In addition to the homeless shelter itself, I'm not going to show you the basement because that's mostly just office space. We are going to be renovating the 2 rear buildings as well. The intention is to create additional units, being 2 bachelor apartments, 2 one-bedroom apartments, and 1 two-bedroom apartments between the renovations of these 2 buildings. So lots of units, potentially up to another 11 housing units, affordable apartments to be built on site. And again, a lot of this is dependent on funding, and this vision is changing rapidly, but this is the vision as of today. And it's something that, as you imagine, is certainly exciting to us. A place called home, from a vision perspective, with this housing included within our agency, it allows us to provide the full continuum of housing. We are a homeless shelter. We are transitional housing with our new Glen Elk property, and this will be permanent housing. So as an agency, we will be providing the full breadth of service to our clients. So a huge step in the right direction for our agency, and it is a natural progression, as one would imagine, for an agency like ours that is certainly always trying to seek out emergency housing and permanent housing for our clients. So with all that said, sorry, I know that was a lot thrown at you in a very short period of time. We're going to move on to our next speaker. I'm going to move on. A place called home has relied on the expertise and support of our municipality from the start. We've dealt with a lot of fantastic folks at the city over the years, but a key figure in guiding that support has been the manager of housing services, Hope Lee. Hope has been instrumental in moving this project forward, and without her support, we certainly would not have a chance of this occurring. So I'm going to pass things over to Hope and let her say a few words.
Thanks, Dave, and welcome everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. The city has and continues to have a very strong public-private partnership with a place called home in order to provide shelter to those who are homeless in our community and have no safe option available. Our area certainly relies on a place called home and that 19-bed shelter. The emergency shelter is critical to the city's housing and homelessness system, and a place called home has always filled an essential role regarding emergency shelter, looking at our full continuum of housing and in all our housing and homelessness plans. Even as we work together towards goals of ending homelessness, this safe, short-term and housing-focused option is critical to those without other options. A place called home's philosophy and values are welcoming for those who need this service. They come inside, and while still practicing in a housing-focused shelter environment, a place called home makes sure that that's as short a stay as possible, and that they're finding some more permanent housing of their own. Pre-pandemic, as Dave and Nicole mentioned, the shelter was at 100% occupancy, serving hundreds of unique individuals annually. As the first emergency orders occurred in March, it was quite evident that it was unsafe for a place called home to continue to provide emergency shelter within that physical building. The pandemic has resulted in an increase of our homelessness in our area. Although with the general increase, many of those who have been sleeping outside or even couch surfing have also found themselves needing a place called home now. Although a place called home could no longer operate from their physical location on Lindsay Street, they continue to be critical partners, assisting the city in its homelessness work. We were able to work together quickly to move into that interim shelter system. The interim motel system that can't continue for a variety of reasons. It's important to continue the partnership between the city and A Place Called Home and to utilize the land A Place Called Home already owns to redevelop. The existing A Place Called Home emergency shelter property at 64 Lindsay is central to all programs and services and almost directly in the downtown area. Assisting A Place Called Home to redevelop its site is a priority focus and a municipal recovery strategy. The city approved a significant portion of its social services relief funding that it received from the province, as well as other financial assistance for A Place Called Home, and recognizes this is the best investment for these funds and that it will assist the city in meeting long-term housing and homelessness goals. It brings A Place Called Home's emergency shelter back to pre-pandemic capacity using its current site based on current public health requirements, as well as adding those new affordable housing units like Dave mentioned. A Place Called Home has been and will continue to provide emergency shelter and new affordable housing to all demographics, which is important to the city as well, realizing that it's the only emergency shelter in our area and that homelessness affects many different demographics. The city's both proud and excited to see this redevelopment happen. It certainly appreciates the dedication and commitment of A Place Called Home staff and the board, realizing they will work not only through this development project, but they'll continue to provide emergency shelter remotely to those in need. So I just like to say that I've really appreciated the opportunity to highlight A Place Called Home's contribution and importance to this community tonight. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Hope. No, we can't say enough about how much we appreciate your involvement and the involvement of the city of Kawartha Lakes in making this project a reality. Our next speaker is going to be someone who's fairly well known in the community. He is the executive director of the Kawartha Lakes Family Health Team, co-founder of the Community Foundation, the 2017 Citizen of the Year, Mike Perry. Mike, holy crap, when I started researching you, there's 1,000 titles out there. So take it away, Mike.
Well, thanks very much, Dave, and thanks for the honor of being able to say a few words tonight and join in this important event, not just for the future of people who fall on hard times in the community, but really we're all in this together, as the adage goes, and we all have an interest in making sure we and our loved ones and our family and friends have the adequate housing they need to make a start and make a future and realize their potential. And I know that everyone on this call knows a lot more about that than I do. I just want to say that I've been very fortunate to be friends with A Place Called Home for a long time. And I thought, what to speak of briefly tonight. And I want to share a very, very short story and to put a human touch on this conversation and what we're talking about and dealing with tonight. A couple of summers ago, I was driving in a small city, not too far from here, but not Lindsay, and driving by the homeless shelter that they had locally. And there were a few guys out front kind of milling about on the church steps. And me being my privilege, I didn't really think anything about it. But the difference was my dear friend Larry was in the passenger seat. And we were taking Larry to a homeless shelter because he's a laborer. He'd worked on a number of small jobs, had an employer that was disrespectful, behind in his pay, fell in with the bad crowd of workers, and was starting to give in to his addictions again. And so we knew that it was time to get him on his feet, especially in terms of being unable to pay rent, to find a place to sleep that night. And it's funny, I'm in the car and I'm driving past, and I think we're at the right place. And Larry says, he's like, "Can you drive around again? I'm not sure." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, fine." So we drive around a second time. I can tell he's getting agitated. And I said, "Larry, well, what's the problem? What's the deal? Are you sure you're okay? Is this the right place?" He's like, "Yeah, this is the right place." He said, "But I know those guys on the front porch and they are no good for me. This is not a safe shelter." And he didn't know those guys personally, but through his life experience, he saw things very differently than I did. We went into the shelter. Larry got checked in, and it was a big gymnasium basically with cots. And everyone had to be out of their room between the hours of 9 a.m. and I think 6 p.m. when dinner was served. Not uncommon within the shelter system. Anyway, all that is to say, Larry lasted about a day. I felt terrible having to drive away because he had all his possessions under his cot. He was clearly agitated. He was worried he was in with fellow users. It just was not a safe environment, to use Larry's words, and he knew that about himself. So I got the phone call and he just said, Mike, I can't stay here anymore. And having worked with a place called Home for so many years, I knew top of mind exactly what I needed to do. And I called Shannon at a place called Home and I said, look, I have my dear friend here. He needs a place to stay. And without telling tales out of school, yes, the rules might have been flexed a little bit, but that's what a place called Home does. It helps people. You know, it doesn't stand on technicalities. It doesn't stand on, you know, procedures that need to be followed at the expense of being human. Larry stayed at a place called Home for about a week and a half. It was a short-term turnaround. He says to this day that that was the best place he has ever stayed other than his own home. That it had a sense of community, just like Nicole talked about. It had a sense of togetherness, of cooking together, of living together, of shared space with people who Larry felt like him were looking to get on their feet and a hand up, who'd had it with the life. And sure, some slipped through the cracks. But while Larry was in a place called Home and had a stable, comforting place, safe place to stay, we got him enrolled in the Indigenous Environmental Program at Trent. And he found another community and another group of people who cared about him and for whom he could care back. And just to wrap up the story, you know, things didn't quite work out at Trent for Larry. He's not there now, but through that experience, he also was able to stabilize his ODSP, his medications, and he has had and does have a permanent home. He has his own business, a laboring business, a landscaping business, which is thriving, word of mouth referrals in fancy neighborhoods. And it's funny, we joke, Larry says that I'm the badass and he is the Boy Scout in the relationship. Now, you know, Larry has done some time, has the tattoos to show it. So it's a pretty funny flip in terms of the relationship. But all that is to say, that's the kind of life-changing care, for no other word, that a place called Home gives in our community. And just to wrap up, I can't note that in COVID, one of the spin-off effects is that because poverty and homelessness and precarity of employment has touched so many of us, we don't seem to be blaming each other anymore. We don't seem to be blaming and naming the individual and saying it's your fault things haven't worked out. And I hope that keeps on, because I feel it's important to name the systemic cause of this, that the free market does not produce homes to house people. It produces homes as a commodity. And we see the prices, what the market will bear. And I'm not sure how any of us are away in terms of 1 or 2 paychecks, if we're working, to need a hand up. And so with that, I just want to close and say, you know, I'm sure we've all had ourselves, our family members, or people we know that have needed a hand up and a place to stay. Jill and I have made our donation to this new project, and we can't wait to see it across the finish line. So again, Dave, thanks very much for all you do. And it's been an honor to be able to share with everyone here tonight.
No, Mike, thank you for the kind words. And you know, that story is a reflection of a lot of the clients who come through our shelter. It's certainly a diverse population of individuals who we see on a regular basis. And thank you. Our next speaker, very, very special speaker. She was a driving force behind the development of a place called Home, and was the founding chair of our agency. She's a longtime poverty advocate, a volunteer, a supporter, and a force to be reckoned with in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, I pass the mic over to Zita Devan.
Thanks, Dave, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be part of the new initiative, A Place Called Home. And I'm reminded that it was over 25 years that the first board of directors called out to this community for help. At the time, we had no services to support our homeless in our community. We came with information about the great need, the vision, the plan, and a cry for help. And this community stepped forward. With your help, our current shelter model has shown that a place called home is making a difference in our community. We have the statistics, but more importantly, we've seen the color of their eyes, and we have witnessed their darkest reality. Housing is one of our very basic needs, and without a place to live, one is unable to find work, access services, or feel empowered to contribute to as a member of our community. This is not a handout, it is a hand up. Now, some of you may remember this. Can you see it? There we go. This is our this is our empty safety pin. Back in the day when most organizations had a ribbon, we chose to have an empty safety pin. And why we decided on an empty safety pin is it symbolizes the emptiness and despair of homelessness. But more importantly, it symbolizes holding things together. For all the reasons you've already heard about tonight, we must move forward with a new model in order to hold things together. The current board of directors and staff will be working hard to apply for other funding available through grants and private foundations. But in many ways, it's like attempting to fix a car while it's still moving, because we still have to serve the homeless. So we need all hands on deck. Tonight, I invite you to join the New Futures, New Build committee. This committee will meet monthly via Zoom. And at these meetings, you'll be given an update on the progress, challenges, and successes, sharing fundraising ideas, and perhaps identify a specific way that you might help. This is a no pressure invite. Feel free to join in just to keep informed. And our next meeting is set for Thursday, January the 4th, 2021 at 8 p.m. Please consider sending an attendance request by email to info@apch.ca, and a Zoom link will be sent to you. Lastly, but not least, I urge you to consider making A Place Called Home one of your charity of choices in 2021, and also become a champion for A Place Called Home with your friends, groups, clubs, and employer. No donation is too small. I read a report recently titled Every Penny Counts. And it said, when you consider smaller gifts specifically, there are a few recent trends that prove how important small donation donors are to the health and sustainability of your organization. So your financial support is greatly needed. And as most of you know me, I could go on and on, but I won't. But I will leave you with this thought, and some of you have heard this before. But just for a moment, imagine what it would be like to have no place to go to at the end of your day. To leave this meeting tonight with no home to return to, a place where you can close the door, rest, and nurture yourself for the challenges up the next day. Now, imagine a place called home. Help us do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zita. So I can rely on Zita to be the kneecap breaker for our fundraising committee. So be careful, folks. She's like a shark with blood in the water. I love her. Our final speaker of the evening is going to be none other than one of our board members. our vice president, Nancy, who spent 9 years as a school trustee with the Corther Pine Ridge School Board. She is the co-chair of our campaign committee. And again, like I said, she's the vice chair, vice president of A Place Called Home. So I'd welcome Nancy in her beautiful Christmas sweater.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I'm here to tell you about two fun ways to raise funds for APCH. Our first event will be our Ice Snow Sculpture Contest, which will start Family Day weekend, February the 12th. You will create your sculptures until February the 21st and then judging. And winners will be announced February the 25th. We hope to have winners for the best ice sculpture, best snow sculpture for both families and businesses. And of course, a vote for the popular sculpture. I will share some sculpture secrets with you now. Many years ago, when we did this in high school, it was discovered that planning is key. Websites weren't heard of, but there's several out there now to check out. Make your decision if you're doing ice or snow. Pile your unsalted snow. Start freezing your ice, color if you wish. Use your imagination. Gather your tools you will need. Outdoor lights may come in handy. And keep it simple. Register and then challenge your neighbors and your family members. The cost will be $25 per family and $50 for each business team. Our second event is planned for March. This will be our Polar Golf Tournament. It's like mini golf without the windmills. Larger holes, tennis balls, 3 clubs. You will need gloves, so you may want to practice those swings. We plan to have a 9-hole mini golf course with more than 1 start time. Registration $25 per golfer in advance and $30 at the door. We hope to serve a warm lunch when you are finished, but depending on COVID, that may be a takeaway. Best ball, low score, and high score prizes. More information will be available on A Place Called Home's Facebook page, so please like us and get further details. We will also need sponsors, volunteers if any of you have secondary students, and eager, fun-loving contestants. So plan, get ready, and enjoy some new activities. Yes, a snowman can become a sculpture. We hope to see sculptures from Kirkfield to Kinmount and all points in between. And then we hope to see you and others on the course in March. Thanks for listening. And back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Nancy. So as Nancy's alluded to, and Zita, we are mobilizing and trying to gather support from the community, be it both financial and the sweat equity of folks like yourselves who can step in and assist us with everything from just getting the word out to expanding those networks to help us raise the funds necessary to make this project a reality. Thank you to everybody who joined us this evening. I know the Christmas season is upon us and things are extremely busy. And we certainly appreciate all of the time that you've given to us, the speakers, especially this evening. Thanks for coming out. If you wish to donate to this project, a link will be going up on our Facebook site very shortly. That includes a Canada Helps link that you can provide direct support, financial support to the build. But again, for those who are not able to make a financial donation, we certainly appreciate any time you're willing to donate. As Zita mentioned, there is a meeting coming up in January. Now, Zita, correct me if I'm wrong, it is January 14th, I believe it is, at 8 o'clock.
I will take your
second Thursday.
Okay.
When you said the 4th, I started to sweat a little.
No, I'll believe you.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Well, hopefully some of you can join us at that meeting. You will get a peek behind the curtain of everything that is going on with this project. And certainly it's a good opportunity to find out more information about community homelessness, about our agency, and about the work we're doing. Again, the commitment isn't great. It is one meeting a month, and it is via Zoom. So you can leave your bathrobe on, grab your cup of coffee, and just join us that evening, and we will certainly appreciate it. So at this time, we'll happily take any questions that that you may have. We're an open book here, so please, if you want to, you can unmute or raise your hand, and then I'll call your name, assuming that it's written on the screen, and or you can just type the questions out in the chat menu down below, and we'll try to answer them that way. Thank you very much again for your attendance this evening. We certainly appreciate it, and your support of A Place Called Home in this project. And I'm glad we didn't get Zoom bombed this evening, because goodness knows what could happen. Oh, we have one question down in the Lana. You're gonna need to unmute there.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, you're breaking. Oh, you're muted again.
Hey, all right, my thing. Okay, am I good? All right.
Yes.
What an honor to meet everyone this evening, and I'm just overwhelmed by the passion and for our community. I'm new to this community, and I'm sort of representing Jennings Creek Christian Reformed Church, and I'm on behalf of them. So I'm excited to continue to participate on behalf of church, but on behalf of me as well, because it's just an initiative that's really close to my heart. I do wonder, at this point, is there something that folks are in need of between now and Christmas? It's a more practical question, I guess, right now, and certainly I'll be pestering my church community. I know we've got a heart for A Place Called Home as well. And you know, so many ideas are going through my head as to who can we get on board and build the third story and beyond. And our church actually has a lot of really good skilled trades. So I think we should really pray and really, who's the shark? Who is the shark?
That would be Zita.
Zita. Okay, come on, Zita. You know, let's shark attack. And
You need to know that for our very first build, your church did provide, and also Queen Street United, a team to renovate the first house, because we had no government funding at all to do that. So they stripped all the wire out of it, and yeah, so we've had a good relationship. Glad to hear that you're on board and you'll continue.
Yeah, and we are just so excited. We're doing a Bethlehem drive-through thing that is all everything, the donations and food and everything is going to A Place Called Home. Sorry, that's my dog. She wants a bone. But I do wonder, I won't take over too much, but is there something that you're in need of, that the folks are in need of between now and Christmas? How are Christmas presents coming? How are clothing? How's mittens and boots and stuff like that? Because we can just put out to our church family and make sure that folks have a, you know, like some joy.
Yeah, to be honest, like the Lindsay community is extremely generous. We are very, very lucky to have a close-knit community that really looks out for you know, especially folks who are staying in our shelter. We are not inundated. There's a negative connotation there. We are just so lucky to have so much support this time of the year. I know we have 3 restaurants that have stepped up who are providing meals to us between now and Christmas, and including 2 restaurants and one of our local churches are supplying food over the next week or so. So ensuring that people are going to have some variety leading up to the Christmas break. We've got local businesses who have sponsored, given us funds to purchase everything from baked goods to candies, chocolates, popcorn, to create snack bags for Christmas Day. The Shoebox Project has stepped up and given us over 40 shoe boxes that we can give away to the ladies who are staying with us. We've got our latest newsletter included a request for gift cards, because that kind of flexibility is key at this time of the year. Because while we do get a lot of in-kind items donated, at the end of the day, the flexibility to be able to hand somebody who literally has nothing a gift card so they can get the few essential things they need is just invaluable. Nicole, do you have anything to add there? What do you think? You might have a better idea of the specific requests.
I'm going to try not to get emotional talking about this. So usually for Christmas, I've been here for 20 years. I've worked the last 10 Christmases in a row. Sorry, guys. So this is the first year that we haven't, had that kind of overall Christmas feel where, we've got trees up and people are unwrapping presents Christmas morning. And we have people saying to us, I've been homeless for so long, or I've, been without a support network for so long, and I can't remember the last time I got a gift. Like, I can't remember the last time there was something under the tree for me. So it's been really difficult for us to not be able to do exactly that this year. So we're really, really trying to do things a little bit differently. And so, the snack bags that Dave's talking about and the gift cards, and the biggest thing out there that we can give people right now, I feel, is food. As weird as that sounds, it's such a comforting thing. And I know I've said it so many times, but so, St. Dave's Diner and Jacked Up Pizza and the churches coming together to donate meals for these days is just incredible. And it just goes such a long way in bringing that comfort and family kind of togetherness back to a situation that's not really like that.
So the short answer to your question, I think we're in pretty good shape leading up to Christmas, but the needs are always changing. Usually at the end of every month, the beginning of the months, we do have a number of people coming and going out of the motel. Right now, our numbers are hovering around 50, if I recall, between local motel plus those in Fenelon and the surrounding areas. So we do have quite a large number of people that are coming and going. And of course, as somebody cycles out of the motel, we've got new people coming in and with potentially nothing, literally the clothes on their back in some cases. It's pretty incredible, especially those who are living rough this time of the year. And this is something we see as the weather turns cold. The folks who have been tenting it through the fall reach a point where it's no longer a viable option, and so they pop into us or they give us a call. And so and some of these are regulars and some of them are not. But again, it's a common occurrence when the weather turns cold. But again, there's always a continual need for different things, and sometimes very unique things. It could be a pair of size 12 work boots, or large winter gloves, or it could be baby formula. It could be any number of things. But to have a support network like yourselves, who we can reach out to and say, we have an odd request. Do you have a dog plushie that to replace the one that one of the kids lost? And thankfully, our generous communities frequently steps up and is able to fulfill those requests. And hopefully from this meeting tonight, we will see an extension of that network and be able certainly to meet all the needs of the clients that come forward. So thank you for the question.
On behalf of my church family, Jennings Creek, if there are those odd requests, by the way, my late husband, he was a size 12, 13. So just saying, there's a few things of those kind of kicking around. But if there's anything of those odd requests, it's amazing how I know our church family just wants to be able to provide. And I think we'll just keep kind of everyone, Azita, I guess too, we'll just kind of keep bringing in people that we can send those requests out to, because people want to give. And so please, as weird as it may sound, just say, hey, Lana, does your church have this? And what chances are, I don't know, we'll hope, right? That's it. Okay, I won't say anymore. I'm turning.
Lana, thank you very much. And thank you for supporting our agency. We really appreciate, the coats you dropped off there a week ago. I think we've given them all away. So again, it's funny how the world works, right? Sometimes a need is fulfilled when, just right on a moment's notice. Are there any more questions, folks? Does anybody else have anything they'd like to know? I can get Nicole to sing for us. No, she's smiling, but she's saying no. Jolie.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I was just wondering if the chamber had partnered with you on that sculpture contest to make sure that we get the word out for business support.
I don't believe we've reached out to them yet, but they're going to be on my hit list for the marketing. The word is going to have to be circulated very quickly because February is going to be upon us very soon. It's amazing how quickly the time goes, especially when half your month is taken up with Christmas. So,
Okay, well,
yep,
well, just let me know because
sure.
I happen to know the chamber president.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? You have his ear, so to speak. Oh, Lana.
Do we know who is on our list at this point? And I'm saying ours because I'm in. Do we know who's on our list in terms of getting the word out and those community partners, so those other community partners?
We do have a listing from the first meeting of our committee, plus the listing of everybody who's joined us here today. So that would form the starting point. But our hope is that over the next months that this will grow by leaps and bounds, as hopefully we can get folks to bring in friends and family or other business contacts, and we can grow this network because it's funny how it works when it comes to these kinds of fundraising initiatives. So much is based around the warm call, the warm ask. Nobody wants to sit on the phone and do cold calling. It's a miserable experience and nobody likes it. But if it's your next door neighbor, or if it's a friend of a friend, or if it's a spouse or a cousin or a brother, it's a very warm call and it makes things so much easier. And it provides another connection to the community and another way to support this project. So again, spreading that net wide is where we will find a lot of success for this fundraising. Fantastic, folks. Well, I certainly appreciate everybody coming out this evening and joining us. I know of all the folks I'm seeing so far, April, who's out in Nova Scotia, I'm sure the check is in the mail, eh? Yeah, you know it is. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We really appreciate your time, your efforts, and we hope to see you all again. And we'll certainly be in touch. So have a great night. Merry Christmas, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you in the new year.